Welcome to Simplified UPSC by PPP, where we listen, learn, and grow together. Detailed lecture notes in English and Hindi, plus practice questions for prelims and mains, only on our Telegram channel. Link in description. Like and subscribe for more.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your high-speed knowledge injection designed to get you truly well-informed and fast.
Today, we have a huge stack of source material we're digging into. We're talking foundational science facts that are just critical for your general studies prep.
Absolutely. But before we get into, alveolar membranes and fundamental forces, we wanted to take a quick moment for some sincere appreciation.
If this deep dive really helps you focus your preparation, and if you're in a position to, please consider supporting our work.
You can do that by subscribing and joining the paid membership on YouTube at Simplified UPSC by PPP. We really do rely on that support.
And a huge, huge shout out to all of our existing members. Your commitment is, and I mean this, it's what makes content like this possible.
It really is. And of course, please remember to hit that like button and share a valuable comment on this deep dive. It helps a ton.
Okay, so our mission today is all about efficiency. We're distilling key concepts from NCERT Class 11 biology, specifically Chapter 17 on respiration.
And we're not just listing facts. We're connecting those core biological principles to broader, high-yield general studies facts.
Exactly. It's about synthesis, not just recitation. We want you to grasp the why behind the fact.
Okay, let's jump in. Let's unpack the core mechanism that, keeps us all alive. Breathing.
Right. And at its simplest, it's defined by two phases. You have inspiration, which is drawing air in.
And expiration, which is pushing the alveolar air out. But it's not a passive thing, is it? It's all about manipulating pressure.
It is pure, elegant physics in action. You're using specialized muscles, mostly the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles, to change the volume inside your chest.
It's Boyle's law, right? Volume goes up, pressure goes down.
That's the one. The diaphragm contracts, it flattens out, the chest volume increases, and the pressure inside drops below the air pressure outside.
So air just rushes in to equalize.
Air rushes in, and then when the muscles relax, the volume decreases, pressure goes up, and air rushes out. Simple as that.
But that mechanical action, the breathing itself, is really just the very first step in this whole physiological funnel we call respiration.
Correct. There are 5 sequential steps that are really important to remember for the exam.
Okay, what are they?
So first, you have the mechanical action of, number 1, breathing. Then number 2 is the actual diffusion of O2 and CO2 across the alveolar membrane.
In the lungs.
In the lungs. Step 3 is the transport of those gases by the blood. 4 is the diffusion again, but this time between the blood and the tissues.
Dropping off the oxygen.
Dropping off the good stuff, picking up the waste. And finally, step 5 is the cellular utilization of that O2 for energy. That's cellular respiration, the entire point of the system.
Okay, let's zoom in on that critical second step you mentioned, the diffusion highway. The sources really emphasize how ridiculously efficient this membrane is.
It's a masterpiece of engineering, of biological engineering. It's all about being thin.
So what's the structure that makes it so effective?
It's made of 3 main layers, all stacked together. First, the super thin squamous epithelium that lines the alveoli.
Good.
Then you have the endothelium, which lines the capillaries right next to them. And sandwiched between those two is a very thin basement substance.
Right.
But here's the crucial part, the scale of it. The total thickness of all 3 of those layers combined is, it's far less than a millimeter.
Wow, less than a millimeter. And that has to handle all the gas exchange for the entire body.
And not just thin. That thinness, combined with the lungs' enormous surface area, which, if you spread it out, is about the size of a tennis court.
Tennis court? That's incredible.
It is. That combination of vast area and minimal distance is what allows for almost instantaneous gas exchange. It's peak efficiency.
So we've got the oxygen in, now we have to get the waste out. And this is where the efficiency story kind of flips to CO2, right?
It really does. Oxygen is what we want, but in terms of transport, carbon dioxide is, you could say, the star student.
And why is that? Why does it have this huge solubility advantage?
It's a classic physiological fact. The solubility of CO2 in blood is about 20 to 25 times higher than that of O2.
25 times?
Yeah, and this isn't random. It's an evolutionary necessity. CO2 is our main metabolic waste. If it builds up, your blood pH drops.
Acidosis.
Acidosis, exactly. Very dangerous condition. So this massive solubility difference ensures that even with tiny pressure gradients, CO2 can get out of the tissues and into the blood to be processed fast.
And there's a specific number tied to this process, which sounds like a perfect exam question. How much CO2 do we actually deliver back to the lungs?
For every 100 milliliters of deoxygenated blood that gets back to the lungs, it delivers about 4 milliliters of CO2 to be exhaled.
Okay.
And it's important to remember that most of that CO2, something like 70%, isn't just dissolved in the blood. It's chemically converted and carried as bicarbonate ions.
This whole complex system must need a really tight feedback loop. Where's the master regulator for all of this?
The central control is in the brain, specifically in the specialized respiratory rhythm center, which is located in the medulla.
The medulla.
Yep. It's the fundamental autopilot. We can consciously hold our breath, sure, but this center keeps the basic rhythm going. And more importantly, it adjusts that rhythm based on the body's needs.
So like during exercise.
Exactly. And it does that mainly by monitoring CO2 and hydrogen ion levels in the blood, not just oxygen, which is a common misconception.
Okay, we've really dug into the machinery of gas exchange. But all this complex machinery is built on, well, foundational structures. Let's zoom out. Let's ask that fundamental question UPSC loves to test.
What truly defines life?
Exactly.
It's a great question because it forces you to think critically. We often list things like growth, reproduction, metabolism.
Right.
But you have to remember why those aren't the defining properties. I mean, a crystal can grow, a mule can't reproduce, you can have metabolic reactions in a test tube.
So those are just characteristics, not definitions. What's the ultimate filter then?
The ultimate defining properties are really twofold. First, it's the cellular organization of the body. Nothing that's truly alive lacks a cellular unit.
Okay, that makes sense.
And second is consciousness, the ability to sense and respond. And if you narrow it down to us, to human beings, the defining property becomes self-consciousness, our awareness of ourselves.
Moving from that more philosophical definition down to the microscopic level, let's touch on the shape identifiers for prokaryotic cells. For bacteria.
Sure. The 4 basic shapes are fundamental. You have the spherical one, which is coccus.
Coccus.
The rod-shaped one is the bacillus. Then the comma-shaped one is vibrio. And the spiral or corkscrew shape is spirillum.
Knowing those just links biology to, pathology and environmental science.
Absolutely. And here's another structural fact that is, absolutely high yield. The difference in ribosomes between us eukaryotes and prokaryotes.
The Svedberg unit number, right. Why does that matter so much?
It's a huge evolutionary fault line. Our ribosomes, eukaryotic ones, are larger. They're 80S, made of a 60S and a 40S subunit.
Okay.
Prokaryotic ribosomes, and also the ones in our own mitochondria and chloroplasts, which is a key link to our ancestry, are smaller. They're 70S, made of 50S and 30S subunits.
And the real-world implication of that difference.
It's massive. That's the reason many antibiotics work. They can be designed to target and shut down the smaller 70S ribosomes in bacteria, stopping them from making proteins without harming our own larger 80S cells.
That is a perfect example of a foundational fact with huge real-world consequences. It links biology straight to medicine. Okay, let's keep making those connections. Let's link internal systems to health, talking about hormones, starting with excess growth hormone in adults.
Right, we're talking about acromegaly. This is what happens when you get too much growth hormone, or GH, secreted after your growth plates have already fused.
So it's not about getting taller.
No, it leads to severe disfigurement, especially of the face, hands, and feet. And if it's not diagnosed, it can cause very serious cardiovascular problems. It just shows how delicate that endocrine balance is.
And speaking of balance, let's focus on the thyroid, the importance of iodine, especially during pregnancy.
Iodine is absolutely critical. It's required to make thyroid hormones. If a mother is deficient during pregnancy, it can lead to cretinism in the baby.
Which involves stunted growth and
significant mental retardation. It's very serious. In adults, hypothyroidism can cause goiter, that visible swelling of the thyroid gland, and it messes up your metabolism, leading to weight gain, irregular cycles in women.
We know thyroid hormones regulate our basal metabolic rate, but there's another specific hormone from the thyroid that has a different but still crucial regulatory role.
You're talking about thyrocalcitonin, or TCT.
Yes, TCT.
Yep. Its specific job is to regulate blood calcium levels. It actually works as an antagonist to the parathyroid hormone. So while PPH pulls calcium out of your bones to raise blood levels, TCT does the opposite.
It helps lower blood calcium.
Exactly. It maintains that dynamic balance, that homeostasis, which is essential for your nerves and muscles to function properly.
Okay, that's a great transition. We've gone from the sub-millimeter scale of gas exchange all the way up to systemic regulation. Now, let's pivot to our final segment. linking these science facts to broader general studies knowledge from the sources.
All right, let's start with global geography. Prime fishing grounds.
Where do we find them?
The best, most important fishing grounds are almost always found where warm and cold oceanic currents meet.
And there's a specific mechanism behind that, isn't there? It's not just the temperature mix.
Not at all. That meeting of currents often generates something called upwelling. And that's the key.
Explain upwelling. Why is it so important for the food chain?
Upwelling is when deep, cold, and this is the important part, nutrient-rich water gets pushed up to the surface. These nutrients, things like nitrates and phosphates, they fuel massive blooms of plankton.
The base of the food web.
The absolute base of the oceanic food web. So where the plankton thrive, the fish that eat them thrive, and so on up the chain. It creates these incredibly productive hotspots for fisheries.
Okay, let's stick with geography. We also pulled some facts about equatorial forests.
Right, they have some unique characteristics. The trees are very tall and grow incredibly close together. They're all competing for light.
Which creates that continuous canopy.
Exactly, a canopy that blocks most sunlight from reaching the forest floor. But here's the crucial soil fact. Even though the forests are so lush, the soil itself is often quite poor.
That seems counterintuitive.
It does, but the warm, wet climate means decomposition is rapid. But the heavy rainfall causes intense leaching. It just washes all the soluble nutrients away.
Which is why certain crops do well there.
Exactly. Crops like tapioca and cashew nuts, which are adapted to nutrient-poor, well-drained soils, can thrive in those conditions.
Let's pivot back to environmental biology, biofertilizers.
We identified Nostoc, which is a type of cyanobacteria, or blue-green algae.
And what's the key exam fact about Nostoc?
Its unique ability is that it can fix atmospheric nitrogen. It takes nitrogen gas from the air and turns it into usable compounds for plants. And it does this in specialized, thick-walled cells called heterocysts.
Which is why it's so valuable in places like rice paddies.
Immensely valuable.
Yeah.
It reduces the need for synthetic nitrogen fertilizers.
Okay, let's shift gears to physics and perception. We need to distinguish between real physical phenomena and optical illusions.
Right. So the phenomena that are considered optical illusions are the ones where our perception is distorted by the atmosphere.
For example,
The size of the sun at dusk. It looks way bigger on the horizon. The color of the sun at dawn. And, of course, the twinkling of stars.
and what's actually happening when a star twinkles? It's not the star itself, right?
Not at all. It's caused by atmospheric refraction. As the starlight passes through all these turbulent layers of air at different temperatures and densities, the light gets bent over and over again.
Making it look like it's shifting and changing brightness.
Precisely. A rainbow, on the other hand, is a real physical process. It's the dispersion of sunlight through water droplets.
Sticking with physics, let's quickly cover the fundamental forces.
The sources highlight two key roles here. The weak nuclear force is what's responsible for radioactivity, specifically beta decay.
And the strong nuclear force.
That's the incredibly powerful force that holds protons and neutrons together inside an atom's nucleus. It overcomes the immense electrical repulsion of all those positive protons crammed together.
And finally, let's bring it back to a practical biological application. Food storage. Why does pumping CO2 into a cold storage room help preserve fruit?
This links right back to our talk on respiration. By deliberately increasing the CO2 concentration in that cold chamber, you're actually slowing down the fruit's own rate of respiration.
So you're putting it to sleep, metabolically speaking.
That's a great way to put it. It acts as a mild respiratory inhibitor, which slows down the ripening and decay processes, giving it a much longer shelf life.
Wow. We just went from the sub-millimeter efficiency of an alveolar membrane through the definition of life to global fishing patterns in nuclear physics.
That's the power of distilling these sources. You see how they're all interconnected.
They really are. All these facts are just essential for a well-rounded general studies preparation.
You know what really stands out is the unity of it all. Our sources point to this powerful, almost philosophical idea. It says, biology is the story of evolution of living organisms on Earth.
Go on.
All living organisms, present, past, and future, are linked to one another by the sharing of the common genetic material, but to varying degrees.
That concept, that shared genetic history connecting a simple bacterium to the complexities of the human endocrine system, that's a really profound thought to hold on to.
It gives you the ultimate context for all these individual facts.
A perfect place to wrap up. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
And again, if you found this useful and you're capable of supporting us, please do subscribe and join the paid membership on YouTube. It's at Simplified UPSC by PPP.
Your support truly helps us keep creating this focused material for you. And don't forget to like this deep dive and share your valuable comment below. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Telegram and Instagram. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.